The door creaked open that evening, and what my eyes met was something I would never have imagined in my darkest thoughts. There, before me, in the middle of my own home, the place meant to be my fortress, my refuge, my wife, the woman I had chosen to walk with through life, was standing over my mother, the very womb that carried me, her frail body trembling on the cold floor. And the words broke out of me, carried by shock, anger, and disbelief. What is this madness? My own wife, raising her hands against the woman who gave me life. Have you lost all respect, all sense of humanity? The walls of the room seemed to shake with my voice. My chest burned as I took a step closer, unable to believe that my home had become a place of violence and shame. My mother, a woman of age and dignity, lay struggling to rise, her wrapper untied, her headscarf half fallen. I could see the pain in her eyes, not just the pain of her body, but the deeper wound of betrayal. For in her old age, after years of labor and sacrifice, she had found no peace, only humiliation. And my wife, oh my wife! Her face was hardened with rage, her fists still trembling as if ready to strike again. This was not the woman I courted with songs beneath the moonlight. Not the woman whose laughter once healed my heart. This was someone else. A stranger consumed with fire, standing over my mother like an enemy in battle. Answer me, I shouted again, my voice breaking. What spirit has entered you? What blindness has covered your eyes, that you raise your hands against my own mother? The woman who fed me with her breast, who carried firewood on her back so I might eat, who prayed for me through the storms of life. This same woman you strike to the ground. Silence answered me, broken only by the weak coughs of my mother as she tried to steady herself against the wooden chair. I rushed to her side, lifting her gently, my heart tearing with every groan that escaped her lips. I looked into her face, wrinkled with years, yes, but still beautiful with wisdom, and I felt the hot sting of tears in my eyes. Never did I imagine that my mother, in the evening of her life, would taste the dust of the floor, because of violence under my roof. Turning back to my wife, I could no longer contain the storm inside me. My voice thundered, echoing from the walls, have you lost all respect, all sense of humanity? Do you not know the curse that follows a hand lifted against a mother? Even if she were wrong, even if her tongue was harsh, could you not have walked away? Must her gray hairs be disrespected in this shameful way? My wife shifted, her breathing heavy, her eyes refusing to meet mine. Her chest rose and fell with anger, but I saw something else behind it, a pride that refused to bend. And in that moment, I realized this was more than anger. This was bitterness that had grown roots, hidden beneath the surface, waiting for a day to explode. But still, my heart could not accept it. My voice grew quiet, but sharp, like a knife. If you have no respect for me, then at least fear God. If you have no love for my mother, then at least honor her age. For she is not just my mother, she is your elder, and in our land, the hand that strikes an elder invites misfortune. The room fell still. My mother's soft sobs filled the air, and my wife's silence was heavier than iron. I stood there, torn between love and fury, between my duty as a son and my role as a husband. That was the night I realized my home was divided. That was the night I understood that a man can be broken not by enemies outside his door, but by the war inside his own house. Her voice trembled as she tried to rise, her old hands gripping the edge of the chair. Her wrapper was stained with dust. Her back bent more than usual, but her eyes, though wet with tears, still carried the fire of dignity. She looked at my wife, then at me, her son, and the words spilled from her chest like a wound that could no longer be hidden. I carried you into this family. I opened my heart to you, and this is how you repay me. By beating me on the ground like an enemy. The room grew silent, except for her broken breathing. My mother's voice was heavy, each word dripping with sorrow that weighed upon my heart. When my son brought you here, I welcomed you with these old hands. These same hands that have labored in the sun, cooking, farming, carrying burdens so that my children would not go hungry. I blessed you. I called you daughter before the people. I prayed for your womb, that you would bring forth children to carry this name. I defended you, even when tongues gossiped. I said, she is my son's choice, she is my blood now. Respect her, and yet you repay me with blows. Her lips trembled, but she did not stop. Do you know what it means? Child, for a mother to accept another woman into her son's life. It is to give away a piece of her heart. To trust that you will honor the bond that ties us together. But today, you have thrown that bond into the dust. You treated me not as a mother, not even as a human being, but as an enemy to be conquered. Tell me, what wrong have I done to deserve this humiliation? My wife lowered her head, but pride still burned on her face. My mother, ignoring the silence, turned her eyes toward me. Eyes filled with tears, yet also strength. My son, you see with your own eyes. This is not a story told in the market. It happened here, under your roof. The woman you trusted with your heart has lifted her hands against your own mother. Ah! In our land, this is an abomination. A home where the mother is disgraced cannot prosper. A tree that cuts its roots will surely wither. Do you not see the curse that hovers over this house? Her voice cracked as she continued, her body shaking with both weakness and fury. I am an old woman. My bones are weak. My back is bent from carrying burdens all my life. Yet today, the greatest burden I carry is not age. It is shame. Shame that in the evening of my years, I have been dragged to the ground like a sack of grain. My heart is torn, my spirit wounded. Tell me, child, have you no fear of God? Do you not know that one day, you too will grow old, and your children's wives will stand before you? What seed are you planting for your own harvest? She wiped her tears with her trembling hand, and let out a bitter sigh. I thought you were my daughter. I thought I had gained another child when you entered this family. But today, you have shown me that I was only a stranger in your eyes. And what stranger deserves such cruelty? Even an enemy in the village would not treat me this way. You who eat from my son's hand, you who sleep under his roof, you who bear his name. You are the one who cast me to the floor. If this is love, then what is hatred? The room was filled with her sorrow, words that cut deeper than any whip. Her frail body looked small, but her voice carried the weight of generations. Let the heavens bear witness to my pain tonight. Let the earth record it. I may forgive, but I will not forget. For I have tasted the dust of betrayal in my son's house, and it is bitterer than death. If you have no pity for me, at least think of the children yet unborn. Do not let them inherit the curse of a house where respect has died. Her voice broke at last, and she covered her face with both hands, weeping softly. The sound of her sobs filled the room, heavier than thunder, sharper than lightning. And in that moment, I, her son, stood frozen, torn between the woman who raised me and the woman I chose, between the duty of a child and the burden of a husband. Her chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, her eyes still burning with defiance. She looked at me, then at my mother, her face twisted with a mixture of rage and pain. And then her voice, sharp and unyielding, cut through the silence of the room. She has always treated me like a stranger in this house. Today, I refuse to stay silent. I am not her servant. I am your wife. The words hung in the air like a whip, striking both me and my mother. She stepped forward, her hands trembling not from fear, but from the storm boiling inside her. From the day I entered this family, I have been nothing but an outsider in her eyes. She never welcomed me as a daughter. She never embraced me with love. Instead, I was tested, watched, judged. Every step, every word, every mistake thrown back at me like fire. Tell me, is that how a mother receives the wife of her son? Her voice grew louder, bitterness dripping from every syllable. Yes, she fed you. She raised you, she carried you on her back. I respect that, and I will never deny her place in your life. But does that mean I must bow to her every command, even when she treats me like a slave in my own house? Does marriage mean I am less than human, that I should swallow insults day after day, pretending I do not bleed? No, today, I refuse to be silent. Her eyes glistened, though her pride would not let her tears fall. You say I raised my hand against her. But what about the many times her tongue has struck me sharper than any hand? Do words not wound? Do insults not leave scars? She has called me unworthy. She has mocked my cooking, scorned my family, whispered to neighbors that I am not fit for you. Every time I tried to please her, she found fault. Every kindness I offered, she repaid with contempt. How long was I supposed to endure in silence? She pointed to me now, her voice quivering with hurt. And you, my husband, you stood by, blind to my suffering. You saw the tension, you heard the words. But you told me, she is old, ignore her. Easy for you to say, for you are her son, the apple of her eye. But I am the one who has to live under her shadow, day and night. Treated not as a wife, but as a stranger eating another woman's food. Her voice cracked, her strength momentarily betraying her. Do you know how it feels to walk into a house and feel unwanted? To cook a meal and watch her push it aside with disdain? To raise your children and still be told you are not good enough? I carried your children in my womb. I suffered in labor to give them life. Yet in her eyes, I am still nothing, a stranger, an intruder, a woman who stole her son away, who she turned toward my mother, her tone fierce but sorrowful. You say you welcomed me. You say you called me daughter. But your heart never matched your lips. Your eyes told me the truth, that I was never truly yours. And I tried. God knows I tried. I endured, I swallowed my pride. I bent myself into shapes I did not recognize just to win your love. But no matter how low I bowed, it was never enough. Her hands shook as she clenched them tightly, her words spilling out like a flood. So yes, today I lifted my hand. Not because I hate you, but because I am tired of being crushed. I am tired of being silenced, of carrying wounds no one sees. I am not your servant. I am not your slave. I am your son's wife, his partner, his equal. I deserve respect too. The fire in her voice dimmed slightly, replaced by a weary sadness. Do you think it was easy for me to do this? Do you think I feel no shame? I know the tongues of the village will wag. I know they will call me the wicked wife who struck her mother, in law. But let the world also know the truth. That behind every blow was 1,000 wounds I endured in silence. Behind my anger was years of rejection, years of being treated like I did not belong. Her shoulders sagged, her tone softening into a plea. I did not marry to fight. I did not come here to break your heart. I wanted a family, a home, a mother to love me as her own. But instead, I found a battlefield. And now, here we are, torn apart by bitterness. If I am guilty, then I am guilty of wanting to be seen, to be heard, to be respected. Nothing more. She folded her arms, her eyes red but unyielding. The room fell into silence again, filled with the weight of her confession. I stood in the middle of the room, my hands shaking, my chest burning with a weight I could not carry. My mother's sobs echoed in one ear, and my wife's bitter words in the other. And in that moment, my own voice rose. Not out of anger, but out of deep, tearing sorrow. How did it come to this? The two women I love most, at war with each other under my roof. Must my home be turned into a battlefield? My words trembled as they left my mouth. I looked at my mother, the woman who gave me life, who nursed me, who bent her back for my survival. I could still see the dust on her wrapper where she had fallen. My heart bled for her pain. Yet when I turned my eyes to my wife, the woman I vowed before God to love, to protect, to honor, I saw her trembling too. Her eyes fierce, but her spirit broken from years of feeling unwanted. And my heart bled for her as well. I stretched my arms toward both of them, but they stood apart, like two mountains that refused to meet. Is this what my life has become? To be torn between blood and bond, between the womb that birthed me and the woman I chose to walk with through life? Am I cursed, that my joy has become sorrow, that my home has become a war zone? I felt the sting of tears in my eyes. Mother, you carried me for 9 months. You labored through the valley of death to bring me here. You clothed me, you fed me, you prayed me into manhood. Without you, I am nothing. And you, my wife, you are my companion, my partner. You bore my children with pain and courage. You share my nights and my burdens. Without you, I am incomplete. How then can I stand here and see both of you as enemies? My heart is divided in two, and I fear it will break. I began to pace, clutching my head as if to hold my sanity together. Do you not see what this has done to me? Every word you speak against each other is a knife in my chest. Every insult, every blow, every tear. Do you not know I feel it double? For when you wound her, you wound me. And when you wound him, you wound me also. Must my love for you both become a curse upon my head? I turned sharply to my wife. You say you are not her servant, and you are right. You are my wife, my equal. But could you not bear her words for my sake? Could you not endure her old age, her sharp tongue, just a little longer, knowing that her days on this earth are few? Was your pride so heavy that you could not carry it, even for me? Then I turned to my mother, my voice breaking. And you, Mama, you say you welcomed her. But I have seen the coldness in your eyes. I have heard the sharpness in your words. You tested her, you measured her, and she was never enough. Did you not think of my heart when you did this? Did you not know that every time you scorned her, you wounded me too? You are my mother, and she is my wife. Could you not have opened your arms a little wider, to make space for her in your heart? I pressed my palms together, my voice rising in anguish. I am a man, yes. But I am also a son, and I am also a husband. Why must I be forced to choose between the two? Why must love demand division? Must I sacrifice one woman to keep the other? Is there no way for peace to reign under this roof? My voice cracked, and the tears finally spilled. I built this house with my sweat, hoping it would be a place of laughter, of children's footsteps, of prayers rising to heaven. But tonight, it feels like a graveyard, filled with bitterness, anger, and shame. Where is the blessing of family? Where is the honor of marriage? Have we traded love for war, respect for scorn, unity for division? I dropped to my knees, clutching my head. Please, I beg you both. Do not destroy me like this. Do not make me choose between you, for in choosing one, I lose the other. And if I lose either of you, then truly, I have lost myself. Let peace return to this house. Let forgiveness flow like water. Let respect cover us again like a garment. For if this war continues, then this home is already lost. The room fell silent, my sobs filling the air. I did not know if they heard me, if they cared, if their wounds were too deep to heal. But in that moment, I laid bare the truth of my soul. Caught between mother and wife, love and duty, peace and destruction. The elder, a man whose hair was as white as the morning frost, rose slowly from his stool. His walking stick tapped the ground, each strike commanding silence. The room stilled. His eyes, clouded with age yet still sharp with wisdom, moved from my mother to my wife, then rested on me. When he finally spoke, his voice was deep, steady, carrying the weight of tradition. A house where the mother and the wife cannot live in peace will never know blessings. Respect must flow both ways, or the family will fall apart. The words cut through the air like the ringing of a sacred bell. He paused, letting them sink in before he continued. My children, listen to me. I have lived many years on this earth. I have seen households rise like tall trees, and I have seen them fall to dust. Do you know why? Not because of famine, not because of sickness, not because of poverty, but because of quarrels within the walls of the home. A divided house cannot stand. A roof with cracks will not keep out the rain. If there is no peace between a man's mother and his wife, that man's home is already cursed. He turned his gaze to my wife, his voice calm but firm. Daughter, you are right to say you are not a servant. Marriage does not make you a slave. You are a wife, a partner, the keeper of his heart. But you must remember, when you married him, you did not only marry the man, you married his family. His mother became your mother too. In our land, elders are not beaten, even when they are wrong. Their words may sting, their ways may be harsh, but wisdom demands patience. The hand that strikes an elder brings shame not only to the elder, but to the one who strikes. Respecting her is not weakness. It is honor. And honor brings blessings. Then his eyes shifted to my mother, his tone now softened but steady. And you, mother, you are also not without fault. You carried him in your womb, yes, and that will never be forgotten. You labored for him, and for that, all of us honor you. But when a son marries, he cleaves to his wife. You must open your heart to her, not as a stranger, but as your own daughter. If you only test her, if you only find fault in her, you plant seeds of bitterness in her soul. A tree that is always struck with a stick will one day break. Love her, guide her, but do not wound her with constant contempt. For when you hurt her, you hurt your son also. The elder tapped his stick again, his eyes now on me. And you, young man, son of this woman, husband of this wife, you carry the heaviest burden of all. A man is the pillar of his household. If the pillar leans, the roof collapses. If the pillar is weak, the house falls. You must not take sides like a child quarreling in the market. You must be firm, but fair. Protect your mother, yes. But also protect your wife. Defend your wife, yes. But also honor your mother. Your role is to be the bridge, not the sword. If you fail, then both women will fall, and you will fall with them. He paused, letting the weight of his counsel rest on us like a heavy cloak. Then he raised his hand, his voice solemn, almost prayerful. Do not let pride destroy this home. Pride is the poison of families. Humility is the medicine. Daughter, bend your pride. Mother, soften your heart. Son, strengthen your wisdom. Only then will peace return. For a home without peace is like a field without rain. Barren. Empty, cursed. But a home with respect flowing both ways will flourish like a tree planted by the river, bearing fruit in its season. The elder lifted his staff toward the ceiling, his voice rising like a declaration. Mark my words today. If you continue in strife, this house will fall apart, and the children will suffer the shame. But if you choose forgiveness, if you choose respect, then this house will know blessings, laughter, and long life. The choice is in your hands. Silence fell again. His words lingered in the air, heavy but healing, like medicine bitter to taste yet strong enough to cure. None of us could speak. For in that moment, it was clear the future of the home depended not on who was right or wrong, but on whether we could humble ourselves and let respect flow both ways. I remained on my knees, long after the elder's words sank into my heart. His voice echoed in my mind. A house divided cannot stand, respect must flow both ways. My chest felt heavy, my spirit torn, but I knew the truth had been spoken. Slowly, I lifted my head, looking first at my mother, then at my wife. My lips trembled as I began to speak, my voice soaked in sorrow but reaching for hope. Enough. Tonight, I make a vow before God, before this elder, before the spirits of our ancestors. My home will not fall. My house will not be cursed. My children will not inherit bitterness. I will not allow pride, anger, or disrespect to scatter what I have labored to build. I turned to my mother, my eyes wet. Mama, you are the root of my life. Without you, I would not breathe today. But you must hear me. This woman is also my life. She is the branch I have chosen to grow from your root. If you despise her, then you despise me too. If you wound her, you wound my heart. I beg you, Mama, let your heart soften. Let your eyes see her not as a thief who stole your son, but as another daughter sent by God. The same way you protected me when I was small, protect her now with your words, with your counsel. Let your gray hairs bring wisdom, not wounds. Then I turned to my wife, my voice shaking but steady. And you, my wife, the mother of my children, hear me well. I know you have endured much. I know her words have cut you, and her eyes have judged you. But you must rise above bitterness. You are not weak, because you respect her. You are strong, because you choose peace where there could be war. The children are watching, the village is watching, even the heavens are watching. Do not let your anger become the seed that destroys our future. Remember, the hand that feeds anger will one day harvest sorrow. Put down your pride, and you will rise higher than insults can ever pull you down. I looked at them both now, my voice breaking, my tears flowing freely. I cannot choose between you. To lose either of you is to lose half of myself. Mama, you are my past, the root that gave me life. Wife, you are my present and my future, the one with whom I will face tomorrow. I cannot cut away my past, nor can I abandon my future. I need you both. My children need you both. This house needs you both. I rose slowly to my feet, lifting my hands toward heaven. Therefore, I make this vow from this day forward, no violence shall stain these walls again. No insult shall poison this home again. No bitterness shall be carried from one heart to the other. Mama, you will respect her as your daughter. Wife, you will honor her as your mother, and I, as son and husband, will stand between you as peacekeeper, not as judge. This is my vow. This is my prayer. This is my command as the man of this house. I lowered my hands, my voice trembling with finality. Let forgiveness begin tonight. Let healing begin tonight. Let this house no longer be a battlefield, but a sanctuary. For if we continue in strife, we are already destroyed. But if we choose peace, we will flourish. Mama, wife, I beg you both, let us not be remembered as the family that tore itself apart, but as the family that chose love over pride. The words settled into silence, heavy yet cleansing. I waited, praying that their hearts would bend, that their wounds would yield to healing. For in that moment, I knew. My vow alone was not enough. The true peace of my home depended on their choice, their willingness to lay down arms and embrace one another as family, not enemies. And so, I stood, caught between hope and fear, waiting for the answer that would decide the fate of my house.